All right, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. And I'm not sure if you're here because you're an electric scooter enthusiast or you're just really curious about these high performance scooters, but whatever your reason, I'm glad you're here. And today I'm gonna walk us through this one right here. This is the Varla Eagle One electric scooter. And man, is this one high performance electric scooter. 52-volt battery and dual 1,000-watt motors in this scooter. It's got performance everywhere. Hill climbs, accelerations, top speed. This is their most powerful scooter they offer. They also have one called the Pegasus, which has dual 500-watt motors, so not quite as probably quick or powerful as this one. This is the big dog that they offer. And the plan for the video today is I'm gonna go through all the pieces and parts, show you them up close so you can see what you get for your money. I'll put the current price on the screen for you. Then after we're done looking at all the features, I will show you the performance footage I took going out and running this thing up to top speed, doing acceleration tests, hill climbs, bouncing up and down on the suspension, so you can hopefully get a little bit of a feel for what the performance is like on this scooter. And then at the end of the video, I like to wrap it up and just kind of tell you the things I think you might need to know. The average consumer, the average guy that's gonna ride this scooter, this is only like the second time I've ever been on a high performance scooter like this. So, you know, what does that average person that is considering buying the scooter, what do they need to know? What did I learn riding it? What things came up? And you know, what might be good to point out so you can make an informed buying decision. So that's how we'll end the video. And I think that's all. So let's take a quick look at the Varla Eagle One. All right, here is the Varla Eagle One dual motor electric scooter. And I will of course put a link to the scooter and also their website in the description below so you can get there easily. But let's talk about the arrival of the scooter. It comes pretty much fully assembled. I mean, all you really got to do is flop up the handlebar stem, attach the handlebars, and you know, charge the battery, and you're pretty much done. So there's basically no setup on the scooter at all. And it comes with a couple extra items. You of course get the owner's manual, which is quite clear. I mean, I really like when they include an owner's manual in here, and it shows you how to program the screen and everything. So that was good. And then they give you these additional like anti-skid pad things that go on the platform where you stand. So I think every single video I watched had, this is the one that comes on the scooter, and I think every video people just left that on. So I wanted to change it out. I changed it out to the, you know, plain black and white flag logo instead, but you also get the helicopter and the street graphic, whatever you want to call that. So you can have your choice. You can probably order other ones online as well. But let's swing back around over here so we can start taking a look at some of the pieces and parts up close so you know what you get with this scooter. At the front, we've got a 10-inch wheel and tire package. They're air-filled tires. It does actually I forgot to show you that too. It comes in the package with an extra tube. So if you do pop a tire, you've got an extra tube included. So they're air-filled tires. They are 10 by 3. It says on them inflate up to 45 PSI. And they have a, you know, a street tread on them. But believe it or not, they do sell knobby tires. Knobby off-road tires. If you want to do a lot of off-roading with this scooter, you can get the grippier tires. I kept it mainly on the street. That's where I felt comfortable on it. So the tires did well, no problems there. And inside this front wheel, you have a 1,000-watt motor. There's also one in the back wheel. So you got a 1,000-watt motor in each wheel. That's what makes the performance on this scooter so insane. But we'll get to that. Let's just keep going through some other parts here. Around the other side, you've got your disc brakes. All right, they are Makuta, I guess is the brand, hydraulic disc brakes. They were great. They functioned really well. I mean, a lot of feeling up here in the levers, and they stopped perfectly. I have no problem with the brakes at all. I thought they were fantastic. The Eagle One also comes with fenders, front and back. So you get this little tiny fender here. And then behind the fender, you can see your front suspension. Now, it does look like there's some adjustment in there. You just kind of turn this, I can see some threads there. So you might be able to fine tune this a little bit to your liking. I thought it was pretty good, you know, set up from the factory. It's got a lot of spring to it. It was soaking up the bumps. Jumping off a curb and landing was so nice. You barely felt it. I mean, running over cracks in the sidewalk or cracks in the road, little sticks, things that you're gonna hit, little stones, rocks, it just ate them all up. You know, didn't really feel them at all. So I was really, really pleased with the suspension. One thing I actually noticed while riding, I was in this area where the sidewalk and the road was being redone, and the sidewalk was about, you know, a 2-inch lip higher than the road surface at every single time I crossed the street. So I found that if I just kind of jumped a little on the scooter and pulled up on the handlebars a little bit, you can kind of bounce and bunny hop over those little 2-inch cracks, which was quite convenient. I don't know how you would really do that with a, a regular commuter scooter with no suspension on it, or not even air-filled tires. Some have solid tires. So that was really cool to be able to just kind of bounce and bunny hop over those little sidewalk things that I had to get over. So very pleased with the suspension on the scooter. Right here you can see you've got headlights. There's one of these on each side. I really didn't test the headlights. I mean, they work, they come on, I can turn them on, but I didn't ride it at night. I don't know that this is something I would really ride at night. I would hate to be hitting a very deep pothole I didn't see coming at 30 miles an hour. So I probably won't ride much at night, but you do have headlights there. I don't know how much they're gonna, if they get blocked by the front wheel at all, but they are there. You do got them. And actually in the back too, you have tail lights. So you have headlight and tail light. Again, one on each side. They are tail lights. They're also brake lights. So I should turn it on and show you here. So to turn on, we gotta turn the key on, and then we gotta hold the power button for a second or so there. And to turn the headlight on, you just hold the mode. Headlight indicator comes on, and you can see now that we've got our headlights shining bright. Now you've also got tail lights in the back, and if I reach up and pull the lever, you can see they flash. So you've got tail lights, headlights, and brake lights, which I like that a lot, having the brake lights. And while we're down here, we can talk about the battery, which is inside here, right? Non-removable. You can't take the battery out at all. It's got to remain in the scooter. And then your charge ports are right here. You've got two. Now it comes with one charger, and if you want to decrease your charge time by like half, you can plug a second charger in. You got to go buy a second charger and plug it in here. But I did a range test on this scooter where I rode it pretty much in turbo mode, gear 3, and also utilized the dual motors a lot. Really utilizing the power of the scooter and draining it kind of as fast as I could. And it went 20 miles on a single charge. And then it took forever to recharge it with one charger. I think it took like almost 10 hours to get this thing charged back up. So if you need a quick turnaround, you might actually need to buy a second charger. But it's a 52 volt, 18.2 amp hour battery pack in there, I believe. And I'm gonna do a whole range test video on it so you can see exactly how that went down. But that's what I got out of it, really kind of using a lot of the power from this. I think that's how most people are gonna ride this scooter anyway, and I got 20 miles, so it gives you an idea of range. Now the platform that you stand on here it's very wide and long. It's great. You have a ton of room up there to maneuver around and reposition your feet. And some of the other scooters are pretty skinny. There's really only one way you can put your feet on them. There's a ton of room to move around. It's like 9 inches wide and like I think 21 inches long. So big platform to stand on. And I did, like I said, I replaced this grip, which, I mean, it doesn't slide at all on there. I mean, you have a good grip with your shoes. This doesn't move on the platform at all. So when I took that original one off, I was wondering how hard it was gonna be to rip this stuff off. It came off really easy. I grabbed the corner and just peeled it right off. Slap this one right back on. So they go off and on surprisingly easy for how secure they are on there. And at the back of the platform, you've got this right here, which is good to rest your rear foot on. Gives you a little bit of stability when you're doing a launch. That's also what your shock is mounted into. It's kind of almost basically part of the frame of the scooter. It's not your fender. Your fender is actually right here, this plastic piece here. Again, rear suspension on it. Looks like it does have some adjustment in it possibly. And you've got your full hydraulic disc brakes here at the back as well. And your 1000-watt motor hiding in the rear wheel there. But let's head back up to the front here and start looking at this handlebar stem. So your pivot point is basically right here, which, the handlebars will flop down like that. And you've got these two clamps right here, what release this and allow it to fold. This is a big area that I had to figure out because this is what keeps the handlebars sturdy and locked in place basically. And the first couple times I rode it, I did not have this tight enough. Let me circle around here. So you got these two little screws here, and then you grab these levers. I'll try to release it. I have it in there very tight because you need it really tight. It's hard to do it holding a camera. I can't even get it. But you need these as tight as you can possibly get them to keep that handlebar from wiggling. There you go. So there's two of these things that lock like that. And you really got to get those tight to get the wiggle out of the handlebars. I try to put them on there as hard as I possibly can, where I can barely get it close so it's nice and tight. I've gone through all here and tightened up every screw and nut and thing I could find in there to try to make them as stable as possible, but I found them, still to be even just a little bit wiggly as I was going down the road, which I don't think you can totally get rid of all of the wiggle out of here. Now it seemed like at the end of every ride, initially they were loose, and I had to retighten them, and I'm like, what's going on? Why don't these stay tight? And what I found is, I think I was just riding it wrong. When you launch from this thing, it has some really good acceleration, so it kind of sets you back a little bit. In being pulled backward like that, of course, I was just hanging onto the handlebars, and I think that was just constantly loosening them up. So instead, what I figured out eventually was, if you have your back foot resting on this platform here, instead of when you launch pulling on the handlebars, you can direct that force into your back foot, and that keeps you from pulling on the handlebars. It helps you launch having your back foot planted on that, which I now know that's probably what that is for. And after that, the handlebars stayed much more secure. So you'll figure it out as you go. You'll need to get that as tight as you can. Remember to put your back foot on there when you launch to keep from pulling on them. And when you do flop this handlebar stem down, there is no locking mechanism, so you can't flop it down and use it as a handle to carry the scooter. That's an extra piece that you have to buy. They do sell that, I believe, but it's, I don't know, another 50 bucks or something if you want to be able to hook the handlebar and be able to use that stem as a handle to carry the scooter. But really, I found myself just grabbing like, right here, and then grabbing this. This is also a good spot to lift the scooter when I wanted to, carry it wherever. Now, some other real quick dimensions. I'll put the scooter weight on the screen so you know that. It's pretty heavy. It's close to 80 pounds, I believe. And then the carrying capacity, I believe it said max was 330. Recommended 265 pounds. So you can be pretty big and still ride this scooter. Now, if we go up here to our controls, so to get this baby up and running, you gotta first turn on the key. The key remains in the scooter at all times. You can't take it out as you're driving. And then turn on display screen there. And it gives you, your gear that you're in up here at the top, your speed, odometer, battery life. The owner's manual is great. It shows you how to program everything in here, change it to miles or kilometers. You can adjust the regenerative braking in here. It's got 4 different levels of that. I'm not going to go over any of the programming. It's all right there in the manual for you. Turn your headlight on again. You just hold the mode button down for a little bit. And this right here is your throttle. It's a trigger throttle, which I think this is more common for scooters. Bicycles don't really have that. It's more thumb or twist, but this is a trigger throttle, and you kind of got to get your head wrapped around that a little bit when you first ride it if you're not accustomed to that, because you don't want to mistakenly think that you're got your finger on the brake and it's actually on the throttle. So I was at first having a difficult time deciding how I was going to ride with what fingers where. I pretty much just kept an index finger on this and then maybe my middle finger on the brake. But this is your front brake. I didn't find myself using that a whole lot just when I'm coming to, a quick stop from high speed. Most of the time, your hand's covering this brake. This is the back brake over here in your left hand. So, which, makes good sense. You want your back brake over here. That's how I was riding with it. Nice grips. They're locked in place real tight, rubber grips. I like those a lot. And on this side of the handlebars over here, you've got your bell and the 2 buttons that take you in and out of eco and turbo mode and in and out of single and dual motor mode. Now I gotta be honest here, I found this a little confusing at first, or kind of difficult to navigate. So the way this works is you've got eco turbo button, right? If you push it in, you're in eco. And if the button is out, you're in turbo. And then this, if you push it in, you're in dual motor. And if it's out, you're in single motor. I kind of feel like one of those should be reversed. Like if they're both in, I feel like that should be the slowest. That should be eco and single. But it's not. If they're both in, that's eco and dual. So I don't know. And it's also not extremely easy to tell when the buttons are in and out. It's when you're riding this thing at 20, 30 miles an hour and you look down, it's hard to tell if that button's in or out. But, it bothered me at first that it was hard to tell, but after riding it, what I can say is I almost always kept it in turbo. I didn't even use eco. Didn't even use it. So I pretty much didn't even touch the yellow button. I only hit the red button. So I just kept it in turbo, gear 3 the whole time. And then when I needed that boost of power for acceleration or top speed or hill climb, Then I just punch this button and put it into dual motor. That's the summary of the buttons. The gears are up here. This is this indicator here. If you hit mode, it'll go 1, 2, 3, and it goes a certain mile per hour limit in like each gear. I had it almost always in turbo mode, gear 3. And as long as you have a steady enough trigger finger, you can, modulate your speed. And it just, in turbo, in gear 3, it just feels like a really powerful scooter. When you push the red button and put it in dual, then it just feels like an insanely powerful scooter. And I think I just have one more thing to point out up here. Underneath this display screen is a USB charging port. So you do have a USB charging port if that's important to you. All right, well, I think that leads us into the performance section of this video. And I got a couple things I want to show you here. So the first is the acceleration. I took some clips accelerating in, different gears and different modes, single motor mode versus dual motor mode, so you can get a feel for how quick this thing is off the line. Next, I took it out to my hill climb spot that I always use when testing electric bikes and scooters. It's not a crazy steep hill. It's like maybe 8 or 9% on the grade. And this thing just crushed it. Just absolutely crushed it. So fast up the hill, probably faster than any electric bicycle I've tested. Most of the time those bikes will go up the hill in about 22 seconds, and this thing just flew up the hill, did not skip a beat whatsoever. I was very, very impressed with the hill climb power of this scooter. I think they say on the website it'll go up like a 30% grade or something crazy. I believe it. It's got a lot of hill climb power. Now for the top speed run, I found a nice long straight stretch and put everything to the max. Gear 3, turbo, dual motor, and went after it. I was able to get the scooter up to about 36 miles an hour. They say on the website up to 40, and it got pretty darn close to that. Maybe if I was a lighter rider, maybe less wind resistance, or had a slight downhill, maybe I'd get a little bit closer to 40, but I got it up to about 36 miles an hour, which is really fast. I was all geared up. I mean, every time I rode this scooter, I had on my motorcycle gloves, motorcycle jacket, a helmet, full-length pants, boots. If anything happened, I wanted to be as geared up as I possibly could. I recommend that's how you should ride this scooter, absolutely. With the speed and power this thing's got, you definitely want to be safe on it. All right, if you're considering buying the Varla Eagle One, what does the average person need to know about this scooter? Here's what I came up with. Number one is just the size, bulk, weight of this scooter. It is a big scooter, and to illustrate, I brought out just a regular 20 mile an hour scooter that you might see riding around town, right? So here's a close-up look at them. So it's a pretty good size difference between these scooters. I mean, they both have 10-inch wheels, but it really just dwarfs that 20 mile an hour scooter. Taller handlebars, much wider, just overall way bigger in weight, size, everything. So that's something you want to keep in mind if you're going to be transporting the scooter in the back of your car and you're lifting it in and out of your car, or you have stairs that you need to go up to your apartment, and you can carry this thing up a flight of stairs, but think about that. It's almost 80 pounds, so you're going to have to bend down, deadlift, and carry 80 pounds up however many stairs you got to go. So if you can do that, great. Know that going in. It's a big, bulky, heavy scooter. All right, the next thing to know about the Eagle One scooter is that this is a serious scooter with really strong performance. So I see it being geared towards two different people. One is the commuter that's going to ride this in 35 mile an hour or less traffic. It can certainly keep up. Or the second person would be the thrill seeker, somebody that wants to get on this thing and just go out and rip it down the road at 35 miles an hour, right? I think you're going to look at this scooter when you get it, when you unbox it and pull it out, and you're going to go, holy cow. And it's either going to terrify you because it's so big and crazy, and you're going to be like, I'm scared to ride this. Or you're going to look at it and go, yeah, I can't wait to get on that thing and blast down the road, right? I was kind of middle to, I want to blast down the road, right? So the first couple of rides were me getting used to it, but now that I'm used to it, I just want to jump on it and fly down the road. So what kind of person are you, I guess? And I guess that leads me into the next question you probably have, which is about the performance. Does it go 40 miles an hour? Well, you saw in the performance footage, I got it to go about 36, and it would get there very quickly. I mean, mid 30s out of this thing is art. That's really easy. You can hit 35, 36 mile an hour really, really easy. I think the better question is, do you want to go 40 miles an hour standing up on a scooter? That's the question you need to be asking yourself. All right, next thing I'll say is you're probably gonna feel more comfortable riding this scooter in traffic. It feels like extreme overkill for the sidewalks. I really didn't take it on the sidewalks very much. I felt much more comfortable riding with traffic because I could keep up. It felt more at home on the streets than it did on the sidewalk. And being that I was riding in traffic a lot, I think there's some things I would probably add to the scooter, which would be, number one would be mirrors. I would have loved to have some bar end mirrors on it. I'll probably add those, that way I can, kind of gauge the traffic around me. I think that'd be really helpful. And being that you're in traffic so much, I found it hard to hand signal. You don't really want to remove your hand from these handlebars and get speed wobbles and wrecks. So it was difficult to signal in traffic. So keep that in mind. It would be really cool if they could kind of integrate turn signals into this thing somehow, being that you're probably going to ride it on the streets a lot. And along with the mirror accessories that I will probably add, I did add already one accessory that I took off, but this bag that goes on the stem right here, which was helpful. I don't really ride bikes or scooters or anything a lot with backpacks. I'm not a backpack person. I'd rather have a pack on the vehicle here. So you're probably gonna end up getting a little stem bag there, which is convenient for hauling GoPros and camera equipment or whatever you got to carry with you, sunglasses, hats. So you're probably gonna end up buying a few accessories for the scooter as well. So plan that in your budget. You're gonna need a bag, maybe some mirrors, maybe the little carrying bracket handle thing there, so you can flop the stem down into that. All right, what else to know? You cannot kick the scooter home if you run out of battery. I know, I tried it. I did a range test. I ran out of battery about 2 miles from home, and I had to push the scooter home. You cannot jump on it and kick it home. There's a little bit of rolling resistance in the wheels and the motor. Maybe that's because the regen braking thing was on. I don't know, but it doesn't seem to roll freely. You can't kick it home. You just have to push it home. So, and I think that's all my notes on the Varla Eagle One. So, as always, I hope that you found some of this helpful, interesting, informative, maybe at least entertaining. If you did, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. And thank you to Varla for giving me a chance to get out on this scooter and ride and test and put some information out there for people to use. Again, I will link it as well as their website in the description below so you can get there easily. Check it out, read all the tech specs and see the buying options. And I think that's all for today. So thank you so much for watching.